Have you ever had a strong bond with an animal? Or maybe your pets have strong bonds with each other? Today we're going to show you 8 really touching stories about animals that will make you cry. You've probably seen chimpanzees in a zoo or other sanctuary, but not all of them were born in captivity. Some are rescued from the wild, and others are raised by humans because their mothers rejected them for one reason or another. Limbani was one of those chimps rejected by his mother when he was born. He was born with pneumonia, and his mother rejected him early on, likely because he would have died or slowed her down. Luckily for Limbani, he was rescued by a zoo, but it quickly became clear that the baby chimp needed care around the clock in order to survive. That's when Limbani was placed with Tanya and Jorge Sanchez, who had volunteered to foster the baby while he continued to receive care. After his successful recovery, he was moved to the Zoological Wildlife Foundation, where he has remained for nearly 7 years. But recently, the once-abandoned chimp was reunited again with his foster family. His reaction is always as if he hasn't seen them in years, though they have visited him on more than one occasion. Limbani ran excitedly towards the two before springing into Jorge's arms, with lots of hugs and kisses coming from both the humans and the chimp. They even went out for a treat together. Their reunion is the cutest thing in the world. What was the longest journey you have ever taken to see your friend? This penguin swims 5,000 miles every single year since 2011. But why? This is a very heartwarming story. Listen, in 2011, a retired bricklayer and part-time fisherman, João Pereira de Sousa, found a penguin starving. Fully covered in oil, the bird was lying on the local beach in southeast Brazil. The old man, without even thinking for a second, scooped up the bird and took him home. He cleaned the bird, fed him, and named him Dindim. It means ice pop in Portuguese. But this is not the end. Look, when Dindim becomes strong enough, the old man took him back to the sea to set him free and let him get back to Patagonia. The old man taught the bird how to swim again, and when it's time to say goodbye, the bird wouldn't go. Dindim formed an unbreakable bond with João Pereira after the man saved his life. And every year since then, Dindim returns to visit his human friend, swimming an incredible 5,000 miles. Some scientists, due to their disbelief, even put tracker on Dindim to check if it's him who coming back year after year. And to their surprise, but not Pereira's, it really is him. Do you think a dog and a goose can become brothers? Rilette was only 2 weeks old when she was rescued from a goose farm, so she had no family. Her owners weren't sure she would get along with their bull terrier Nino, but within 5 minutes, she was following him everywhere. Nino immediately took on the role of big brother. He watched Rilette's every move, making sure she was safe. And who would have thought it's been months, and they're still doing everything together. Every morning, the dog wakes up the owners so they can take him outside to watch Rilette. As soon as the door opens, Nino goes crazy and starts running around the garden, chasing Rilette and trying to get her to run after him. This goes on for hours, until Nino is completely exhausted. Another thing Rilette loves doing is to pinch kiss Nino, and he absolutely loves it. They can sit there for hours doing that. No one would have thought they would become such close friends. With Nino, Rilette learns how to navigate the world every day. She might be the boss at home, but Nino is still her big brother, and she always looks up to him. Have you ever felt lonely? Of course you have, but I bet not as lonely as this tortoise. Meet Lonesome George. For 40 long years, he was the loneliest creature on the planet Earth, the very last one of his kind. A Pinta Island tortoise, he was more than just a creature of the wild. Rescued from the brink of extinction in 1971, George found refuge at the Charles Darwin Research Station on Santa Cruz Island. Under the eye of Fausto Lorena, he lived out his days as an ambassador for his species. Scientists hope to find a mate for George to ensure the survival of his species, but despite their efforts and numerous breeding attempts, he remained alone until his very last breath. It was heartbreaking for everyone to know that George would be alone for the rest of his life, but at some point, he and his solitude became a symbol of the fragility of life. After 40 long years at the Charles Darwin Research Station, on June 24, 2012, Lonesome George passed away, and with him, the whole kind of Pinta Island tortoises. Today, Lonesome George's legacy lives on through his taxidermy as a reminder of him and his kind. Do you think a fluffy cat can hold an important leadership position? Look, small town called Talkeetna in Alaska was like many other towns, but what made Talkeetna special was its mayor. And you know who that mayor was? That's right, it was Stubbs the cat. Now you might wonder, how did a cat become a mayor? Well, let me tell you the story. It all began when the people of Talkeetna were not too impressed with the candidates running for mayor. They joked about how even a cat could do a better job. And you know what? that joke turned into something serious. The people of Talkeetna decided to give Stubbs a chance. After all, he was cute and fluffy, and maybe he could bring some smiles to their faces. So Stubbs became the mayor of Talkeetna, and oh boy did he make headlines. National and international media couldn't get enough of this furry mayor, and suddenly, Talkeetna was known all over the world. But Stubbs wasn't just a mayor, he was also a beloved member of the community. Everywhere he went, he brought joy and laughter. People would come from far and wide just to catch a glimpse of their favorite feline mayor. Sadly, in 2017, Stubbs passed away, leaving behind a legacy of love and laughter. But his memory lives on in the hearts of the people of Talkeetna and all those who were lucky enough to meet him. Stubbs may have been a cat, but he was also so much more. He showed us that sometimes a little bit of kindness and a whole lot of purrs can make the world a better place. Rest in peace, Mayor Stubbs. You will always be remembered. What is the most unusual pet you can think of? How about a crocodile? Look, there is a man in Costa Rica who had a real crocodile as a pet, and this is a very heartwarming story. Meet Gilberto Shedden, also known as Chito, a local fisherman with a huge heart, and of course Pocho, a majestic crocodile found by Chito wounded and in need of help in the 1989. Pocho was emaciated, dehydrated, and wounded. It was clear he needed help, and a man couldn't turn away from him. And who could? Despite the odds, Chito decided to take Pocho under his wing, or should I say, under his boat. With the support of his friends, Chito brought Pocho home, and for the next 6 months, Chito nursed Pocho back to health, feeding him a diet fit for a king, 60 pounds of chicken and fish every week. But it wasn't just the food that nursed Pocho back to health, it was something far more profound. It was love. Chito talked to him, petted him, and yes, even gave him kisses and hugs. To protect Pocho and ensure his safety, Chito hid him away in a secluded pond deep within the forest, away from prying eyes and potential dangers. It was a risk, but I, a man, couldn't bear the thought of losing Pocho. So Chito did everything to keep him safe until they could be together legally. As Pocho's health improved, Chito released him back into the wild, hoping he would return to his natural habitat. But Pocho had other plans. He chose to stay by Chito's side, becoming a part of his family. They swam together, played together, and even performed together. For 2 decades, Chito and Pocho captivated audiences with their weekly performances, showcasing the unbreakable bond they shared. Sadly, all good things must come to an end. Pocho passed away from natural causes in 2011, leaving behind a legacy of friendship that would never be forgotten. How many pairs of shoes do you have? I bet not as many as this chicken. Listen, thanks to these boots and to Mish Davington, Nubz the Chicken is now able to walk. You see, Nubz lost his toes because of tiny bugs called scaly leg mites. These bugs live under the scales on a chicken's feet. Unfortunately, for the most birds, it means death. But not for Nubz, and we should thank this lady, Mish Davington, who first used different sprays to care for the bird's feet. But then she came up with a genius idea. Look, she greased his feet with Vaseline, wrapped up the bird's feet, and put on him the little boots. And it worked. Nubz started walking. But this is not the end. When people found out about this cute story, they started supporting Nubz and sending him little pair of shoes. And now he has more than 60 of them. Do you enjoy watching the video so far? Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to support the animals. I promise this is the cutest thing you'll see today. Adolfo, a lion tamer, discovered a frightened lion cub named Kiara during his work in Mexico. Seeing her vulnerable state, Adolfo took her under his wing, providing her with the love, care, and safety she desperately needed. Despite initial challenges, Kiara gradually grew comfortable with Adolfo, forming a deep bond with him. However, as Kiara matured, it became clear that she needed a larger space to accommodate her growing needs. With a heavy heart, Adolfo made the difficult decision to relocate her to a foundation in Mexico City, where she could receive the care and space suitable for a fully grown lioness. However, despite the distance, Adolfo's love for Kiara remained unwavering, prompting him to inquire about her well-being. Upon learning of Kiara's continued happiness and growth, Adolfo couldn't resist the opportunity to visit her. Despite the risks, he entered the enclosure, and at the sound of his voice, Kiara bounded towards him. She tackled him in her eager embrace, and the pair spent the afternoon cuddling and playing together, like the long-lost friends they were. Adolfo never appeared afraid, and everyone present that day got to experience the powerful cross-species love between 2 remarkable beings. The magnificent Kiara knew her first family had returned.